I'm sitting across from Marcus Harlow, Director of Human Resources at Corporate Solutions, and he's holding a piece of paper like it's kryptonite. Tyler, he says, and his voice has that tone, the one managers use right before they destroy you. Your MBA came back flagged in our verification process. My stomach drops. Not metaphorically. Physically drops. Like I'm in an elevator and someone just cut the cable. I don't understand, I say, even though I do understand. I understand perfectly. The university you listed? It doesn't exist. Well, it exists. But not as an accredited institution. Not for over 15 years. He slides the paper across the desk. It's a formal verification response from the Department of Education. 3 words are highlighted in aggressive red. Credential not recognized. There's been a mistake, I say, but my voice sounds hollow. I sound like a liar. I sound guilty. Marcus is already typing. We ran a background check on all your employment history. Everything checks out except this. Which means, he doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't have to. It means I lied on my application. It means I committed fraud. It means, in approximately 45 seconds, 6 years of work at this company, salary, bonuses, promotions, my entire career trajectory, is about to evaporate. I purchased that MBA legitimately, I say. I paid for it. I have transcripts. From who? And that's when I realize, I'm about to sound insane. From the university. International Collegiate Institute. Based in, doesn't exist, Marcus interrupts. We checked. The certificate you have? Printed from a template. The seal is off by 2 millimeters compared to real ones. Everything about this is fabricated. My hands are shaking. I lock them together on the table so Marcus won't see. I need to verify some things, I say. Give me 24 hours. Marcus exhales like he's sad for me. You're suspended effective immediately. Pending investigation. Don't come back to the office. We'll be in touch with our legal team. I stand up. I don't remember standing up, but suddenly I'm on my feet. Marcus, I promise you, don't, he says, not unkindly. Just don't. I walk out of that office in a fog. Out of the building. Into the parking garage. Into my car. And I sit there, engine off, hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel, and I think about the man who did this to me. My name is Tyler Brennan. And this is the story of how I found out I'd been scammed by the same man I'd trusted most. Let me rewind 12 months. I was working as a project coordinator at Corporate Solutions. Decent job. Decent pay. No career momentum whatsoever. I'd been there for 6 years, same position, same salary, and I could feel the ceiling pressing down on me. Guys I started with had moved up. I was treading water. One night, I'm at a bar with my mentor, Kevin Polk. Kevin's been in tech longer than anyone I know. He's brilliant, like, genuinely brilliant. Startups, investments, strategic partnerships. He's the guy everyone wants to mentor them. And somehow, he decided to mentor me. You need an MBA, Kevin says, not for the first time. You're smart enough. You just need the credential. I'm not paying $120,000 for a traditional program, I say. I can't afford that. Kevin leans back. He's been drinking, we both have, but he's the kind of drunk where he gets that look. That, I know something you don't look. What if I told you I knew someone? Someone who could get you a legitimate MBA. Real transcripts, real accreditation, real diploma. For $15,000. I laugh. That sounds like a scam. It's not a scam. It's a shortcut. For people like us who don't have time for traditional education. Kevin, that is a scam. He sets down his drink. I've got a contact. Operates out of Prague. Legitimately issues credentials. They've got relationships with accredited international universities. Everything is real. Just expedited. I should have walked away then. I should have said no. Instead I said, How much? $15,000. You'll get your diploma in 6 weeks. What's the catch? Kevin smiles. The catch is you have to trust me. And I did. God, I was stupid. I wire Kevin $15,000 from my savings account. Not my smartest decision. But I'm 45 years old, stuck in the same job, and Kevin's been nothing but helpful to me. He's introduced me to industry contacts. He's given me career advice. He's been the older brother I never had. I trust him. 6 weeks later, I get an email from something called International Collegiate Institute. The email is professional. It's formatted like a real university correspondence. It tells me that my MBA application has been approved and my diploma is ready for pickup. Attached is a transcript. 4 semesters of business classes. A 3.8 GPA. Everything looks legitimate. I get the physical diploma in the mail a week later. It's beautifully printed. The seal looks official. The signature at the bottom is from someone named Dr. Nathaniel Prescott, Dean of Academic Affairs. I don't question it. I update my LinkedIn. MBA, International Collegiate Institute. I add it to my resume. And nothing changes. 6 months go by. No promotions. No new opportunities. Companies don't care about international credentials they've never heard of. They just care about the credential being there. So I do what Kevin suggested. I start lying. On a job application, I list the MBA as coming from a respected international institution. I don't say which one. I just lean into the ambiguity. When the background check comes back clean, I feel a wave of relief mixed with guilt. They didn't verify it deeply enough. They just saw MBA and moved on. That's how I get hired at Corpora Solutions as a project manager instead of project coordinator. That diploma, the fake one I bought from a con artist, buys me a $20,000 salary bump. For 6 months, everything is fine. Then someone in HR actually decides to verify credentials properly. After Marcus suspends me, I do what I should have done a year ago. I try to contact Kevin. His phone goes to voicemail. His email bounces back. His LinkedIn profile has been deleted. That's when I realize, Kevin Polk isn't his real name, or he's disappeared, or he's done this to enough people that he's gone into hiding. I search for International Collegiate Institute. It doesn't exist. There's no official registration. There's no physical address. There's no Dr. Nathaniel Prescott in any accreditation database. It was all fabrication. I was scammed, and I didn't even realize it until I'd built my entire career on the lie. The legal fallout is brutal. Corpora Solutions wants to prosecute. They're talking about fraud, misrepresentation of credentials, potential criminal charges. My lawyer tells me the best case scenario is they accept a settlement and let me resign quietly. Worst case, they press charges and I go to court. I settle for $80,000. My savings, gone. My career, over. I'm unemployable now. Any background check will show that I misrepresented my credentials. No company will hire me. I spend 3 weeks in a dark apartment, doing nothing. Then I get angry. I'm sitting on my couch at 2 a.m. on a Thursday, scrolling through my old emails, when I find a message I'd forgotten about. It's from Kevin, from 6 months ago, before everything imploded. Tyler, by the way, I'm using a service for some other career transitions. If you know anyone else interested, tell them to ask for me directly. The $15,000 is good for 3 people, then I move to the next operation. Turns out a lot of people need this. More than you'd think. 3 people. He was running a credential scam operation, and I was just one of 3 in that cycle. My anger shifts. It's no longer directed at Kevin, or even at myself. It's directed at the system that allowed this to happen. Kevin didn't invent fake credentials. Hundreds of people do. But he systematized it. He weaponized the gap between what people need, career advancement, and what the system demands, credentials. He exploited that gap and profited from it. And he did it to people he claimed to mentor. That's when I make a decision. I'm not going to just accept this. I'm not going to fade away into unemployment and regret. I'm going to destroy him. Not out of anger. Out of strategy. I spend the next 2 weeks doing something I should have done a year ago, investigating Kevin Polk. He's harder to find than I expect, which tells me he's intentional about disappearing. But he made mistakes. I find an old podcast interview from 2 years ago where he talks about innovative education solutions. He mentions operating out of Prague. He mentions helping 200-plus professionals achieve their credentials goals. 200 people. That's 200 people he potentially scammed. I find a business registration in the Czech Republic under a company called Meridian Education Services. The listed owner? Michael Polakov. Age 43. Last known address: Prague, Czech Republic. Michael Polakov. Mike Polakov. Mike Polk. Kevin Polk. Same person. Different names depending on which country he's operating in. I dig deeper. I find forum posts on career websites where people mention Kevin Polk. Some are grateful. Some are furious. Some realized, too late, that their credential was worthless. One post is particularly damning. A woman named Marlene wrote, "Kevin Polk promised me a real MBA. Said it would be from an accredited school. I paid $18,000. Got my diploma. Got hired at a Fortune 500 company. 2 years later, they found out it was fake. I was fired. I'm now unemployable. And Kevin won't respond to any of my emails. If anyone knows how to find this guy, please tell me. I want to report him to the authorities." That was posted 3 years ago. Kevin had been doing this for at least 3 years. Probably longer. And nobody had stopped him. I contact the FBI. I file a report about credential fraud. The agent I speak with, a woman named Patricia Velasquez, listens to my story with barely concealed exhaustion. "Mr. Brennan, credential fraud is difficult to prosecute. The victim often participated in the fraud knowingly, which makes them reluctant witnesses. The perpetrator operates internationally, which creates jurisdictional issues. And the consequences are usually financial, not physical harm, which makes it low priority." "What about the people he scammed?" I ask. "Most of them don't want to go on record. They're embarrassed. They got hired based on false credentials. They don't want that scrutiny." I understand what she's really saying. The system doesn't care. Kevin Polk will probably never face consequences. Unless someone makes him. And that someone is going to be me. The long game begins. Here's what I know about Kevin. He's intelligent and systematic. He operates through personal relationships and referrals. He's been doing this for at least 3 years. He has international infrastructure, Prague base, multiple aliases. He's paranoid enough to use fake names and disappear when the heat gets on. Here's what I do next. I create a fake identity. Not a full identity theft situation. Just a professional persona. Someone Kevin would want to work with. I create a LinkedIn profile for Marcus Sterling, a tech executive looking to climb the corporate ladder quickly. I give him an impressive background, startup experience, connections in venture capital, ambitious, hungry, exactly the kind of person Kevin would target. I create an email address. I set up social media accounts. I make it look legitimate. Then I reach out to Kevin through old contacts, asking if he's still doing credential services. The response comes 2 days later. "Who referred you?" I give a name, another person from that original forum who mentioned Kevin positively. I'm gambling that Kevin won't remember everyone he's scammed and that he'll assume the positive reference is legitimate. He takes the bait. Kevin agrees to meet me. Not in person, he's too smart for that. Via secure video call. When he appears on screen, I barely recognize him. He looks older. Worn. Like he's been running for 3 years and finally stopped looking over his shoulder. He's using the Kevin Polk persona. American accent. But there's something underneath it. Something that suggests he's tested this performance so many times it's become real. "Marcus, he says, smiling. Good to hear from you. Tell me about your situation. I feed him a story. Tech executive, good salary, but companies keep promoting people with MBAs past me. I've got the skills but not the credentials. I'm willing to invest in getting certified. How much are you thinking? Kevin asks. Whatever it takes. I need something legitimate. He nods. I can get you an MBA. Real accreditation, real transcripts, real diploma. From a respected international university. $18,000. How do I know it's legitimate? Kevin leans back. He's done this pitch so many times. I've placed over 250 professionals. Do you know how many have gotten caught? 2. Both of them actually committed fraud at their companies afterwards and got investigated. My credentials are legitimate. The problem is people get greedy. He's lying. I know he's lying, but the confidence in his voice is chilling. He believes his own story. All right, I say. How do we proceed? Over the next 3 months, I maintain contact with Kevin while I gather evidence. I record every conversation, legal in my state, which is important. I document every request. I screenshot every email. I build a file. More importantly, I use Kevin to gather intelligence on his operation. Through careful questioning, I learn. He has a network of 12 people facilitating the credential fraud across 6 countries. He operates out of 3 physical locations, Prague, Budapest, and Mexico City. He processes approximately 30 credentials per month, generating roughly $500,000 in annual revenue. He has connections with corrupt people inside actual universities who validate his fake credentials. I learn how the scam works. Kevin finds victims through LinkedIn and professional networks. He identifies ambitious people who are stuck in their careers. He poses as a mentor figure. He builds trust over weeks or months. Then he offers a shortcut. Most people say no, but 20 to 30% say yes. And Kevin has done this so many times. He's perfected the psychology. I need help. I can't do this alone. So I reach out to Marlene, the woman who posted on the forum about losing her job. I find her through detective work, LinkedIn stalking, some social engineering with her alma mater. I send her an anonymous message describing Kevin's operation in detail. She responds within an hour. How do you know all this? I call her. I explain who I am and what happened to me. I tell her about my plan. There's a long pause on the other end of the line. Then Marlene says, I've been waiting 3 years for an opportunity to destroy him. I'm in. With Marlene as my second victim and solid evidence, I go back to Patricia Velasquez at the FBI. This time, she listens differently. You have recordings? She asks. 12 hours of conversation. Documentation of the scam? Full trail. Request process, payment, diploma delivery, everything. How many victims can you get to cooperate? At least 15. I've contacted people from his forum posts. Some are willing to go on record. Patricia leans back in her chair. For the first time, she looks interested. Here's the thing, Mr. Brennan. What you've done, recording without full consent from Kevin, might not be admissible in court, depending on how this evolves. But it gives us probable cause to launch an investigation. And once we have a warrant, we can legally subpoena his communications, his financial records, his everything. So what do we do? You keep doing what you're doing. Keep documenting. Keep cooperating. And let us build the official case. But I'm not content to just hand this to law enforcement. They move slowly. They have bureaucracy. I want to accelerate this. So I do something risky. I convince Kevin to bring me on as a partner in his operation. I know the credential space, I tell him. I know the vulnerabilities. I could help you expand. Maybe increase to 50 credentials per month instead of 30. Kevin is intrigued. He's greedy, and greed makes people stupid. We meet via video call, and I propose a deal. I invest $50,000 as a partner, and I get a 20% stake in the operation. Kevin agrees, but he wants to see evidence that I'm serious. He wants me to wire money to a Panamanian bank account. I do. All documented, all traced. But here's the thing. I'm not actually giving him my money. I've worked with the FBI to wire funds that are being monitored. They're tracking every transfer, every deposit, every movement. I'm not building a trap. I'm building a financial evidence trail that makes it impossible for Kevin to claim this was anything other than deliberate fraud. 1 week after I wire the partnership funds, the FBI moves. They simultaneously execute warrants on all 3 of Kevin's physical locations. They seize computers, documents, financial records. They freeze accounts. And they arrest Kevin at his apartment in Prague. The news hits like a bomb. I see his mugshot on the FBI website before I see it anywhere else. Michael Polakov, alias Kevin Polk, charged with international credential fraud, money laundering, wire fraud, identity fraud. The magnitude of the operation is finally revealed. 847 victims across 12 countries. $14.2 million in total fraud. Network of 47 co-conspirators. Credentials sold for everything from teaching certificates to medical licenses. One of the co-conspirators is an administrator at a legitimate Czech university who'd been verifying Kevin's fake credentials as real. The case is massive. But here's where it gets complicated. The FBI comes to me with a problem. Kevin's lawyers are arguing that I'm entrapment. That I induced him to commit crimes he wouldn't have otherwise committed. You came to him, Kevin's defense team claims, represented yourself as someone interested in fraud, and offered partnership in an illegal enterprise. You're a federal agent or a confidential informant. You've violated his rights. I'm not either of those things, but the argument has just enough legal standing to complicate the prosecution. Patricia Velasquez brings me in and explains the situation. Your recordings help us. But your participation in the partnership might actually give Kevin a defense. The prosecutors are worried about this. They want to know if you'll testify that Kevin approached you first, that this was his ongoing operation, that you didn't create the scam. Everything I just told you is true, I say. I know. But Kevin's going to claim you helped orchestrate this entire operation as an entrapment scheme. I feel a chill. I came here to destroy Kevin, not to become the liability that lets him walk. But then Patricia smiles. An actual, genuine smile. However, she continues, we found something interesting. In Kevin's financial records, we found documentation of every victim he's ever scammed. Names, amounts, dates. He kept meticulous records, like a psychopath keeping trophies. She slides a folder across the desk. This folder contains evidence of crimes Kevin committed years before you ever contacted him. This proves he had an established operation. This proves you didn't create anything, you just exposed what was already there. The folder is thick. It's a graveyard of Kevin's previous victims, all documented in his own handwriting, all proving he was a serial scammer long before I appeared. Plus, Patricia adds, we found 247 emails where Kevin actively recruits people for his scam. He's the predator, Mr. Brennan. You're just the hunter who caught him. The trial becomes international news. Kevin's face is everywhere. Tech mentor runs credential fraud empire. International scammer exposed. But Kevin doesn't break. Even facing 15+ years in federal prison, he doesn't show remorse. He shows arrogance. During his testimony, he actually argues that he was providing a service. These people wanted to advance their careers, he says from the stand. I provided them a pathway. The system is broken, it requires credentials instead of competence. I fixed that problem. The prosecutor looks at him like he's insane. So you were helping people by committing fraud? I was helping people by acknowledging that the system is fraudulent already. I was just more honest about it. The jury foreman later tells reporters, he had zero remorse. He acted like he was the victim of an unjust system. That arrogance is what convinced us he was guilty. Kevin is convicted on 47 counts. He's sentenced to 16 years in federal prison. But Kevin's conviction creates a problem for me. With Kevin exposed, background check companies tighten their verification processes. Suddenly, every company that hired someone with a credential from International Collegiate Institute realizes they have a problem. 140 people lose their jobs. They weren't part of Kevin's scam, they were victims of it. But the system doesn't distinguish. And I realize something uncomfortable. I'm not just destroying Kevin. I'm collateral damage in my own revenge. The media runs stories about innocent people losing careers because they unknowingly bought fake credentials. I read one article about a single mother who was fired from her teaching job. She never knew her credential was fake. Kevin sold it to her. She built a 6-year career on it. Then everything evaporated. That woman, her name is Stephanie, becomes the face of Kevin's victims in the national conversation. And people start asking, did Tyler Brennan expose a predator, or did he destroy innocent people to get revenge on someone who scammed him? I don't avoid the question. Instead, I embrace it. I create the Brennan Foundation for Educational Justice. Using my settlement money and donations, I fund education for people whose credentials were invalidated by Kevin's fraud. Stephanie gets a full scholarship to a legitimate teaching credential program. So do 89 other people. I work with universities to create a credential verification database that makes it harder for fraudsters to operate in the future. I become an advocate for systemic change, arguing that maybe the solution isn't punishing victims but reforming a system that makes credentials so desperate that people buy fake ones. My revenge transforms into something bigger than personal satisfaction. It transforms into justice that actually serves people. 2 years after Kevin's conviction, I get a letter. It's from Kevin. He's in federal prison. He's asking to see me. I don't want to go. Part of me thinks it's a trap or manipulation. But Patricia advises me that it might be strategic to hear what he has to say. I visit him at the prison. Kevin looks smaller behind the glass. Prison has diminished him. But his eyes are the same, intelligent, calculating, without genuine human connection. Tyler, he says into the phone, I wanted to apologize. I don't respond. You got me. You did what I never thought anyone would do. You infiltrated my operation and brought down my entire network. You're smarter than I gave you credit for. I'm not here for an apology, I say. I know. But I wanted you to understand something. I spent my life believing the system was the problem. That I was just exploiting loopholes. But you showed me something different. He pauses. You showed me that exploiting loopholes damages real people. People like that teacher who lost her job. That wasn't the system's failure. That was my failure. I want to believe he means it. But something in his expression suggests he's performing remorse, not feeling it. Goodbye, Kevin, I say, and I leave. I never go back. But Kevin's apology plants a seed in my mind. I realize that in pursuing my revenge, I become something I didn't like. I become someone willing to sacrifice innocent people to destroy a guilty one. That's not justice. That's vengeance with a moral justification. So I do something harder than destroying Kevin. I publicly acknowledge my complicity. I write an essay titled, I Was Part of the Scam Too, and publish it in Medium, where it goes viral. In it, I admit, I knowingly purchased a fake credential. I knowingly used it to get hired. I benefited from fraud even while being victimized by it. My revenge wasn't righteous, it was selfish. The real victims are the 140 people who lost jobs because of Kevin's operation, not just me. The response is brutal. People attack me for being a hypocrite. For acting like a hero while admitting I was complicit in fraud. For destroying a man, even though he deserved it, while trying to absolve myself of guilt. One comment sticks with me, you're not a justice seeker. You're just a guy who got caught and is using the system is broken as an excuse. And they're right. But here's what that honesty creates. Possibility for actual change. Because I'm willing to publicly admit my complicity, credibility institutions start listening to me. I work with the Department of Education. We create a credential authentication system that's free and accessible. Anyone can verify any credential in real time. I work with universities. We develop a second chance pathway where people with invalidated credentials can get legitimate ones without paying full tuition. I work with employers. We build hiring practices that value competence over credentials, reducing the desperation that makes people buy fake ones in the first place. None of this is revenge. All of it is repair. And somehow, it feels more powerful than Kevin's conviction. 5 years after Kevin's conviction, I'm speaking at a conference about credential fraud prevention. In the audience is Stephanie, the single mother who lost her teaching job. After my talk, she approaches me. I wanted to thank you, she says. I got my legitimate credential through your foundation. I've been teaching again for 3 years. My kids are happy. I'm happy. She extends her hand. I don't know if you meant to help me when you destroyed Kevin. But you did. I shake her hand, and something inside me heals that I didn't know was broken. Kevin is released from federal prison after 14 years, early release for good behavior and cooperation with authorities investigating his co-conspirators. He's a broken man. His wife left him. His kids won't speak to him. His reputation is permanently destroyed. He tries to rebuild in a small town in Montana under a fake name. But I don't pursue him. Not because I've forgiven him. Because I've realized that his suffering isn't the point. The point is making sure no one else becomes a victim. And I've already done that. 10 years after Kevin's arrest, I'm no longer a victim or a vigilante. I'm a person who turned a scam into a movement. The Brennan Foundation has helped 3,847 people get legitimate credentials. The credential verification system has prevented an estimated $128 million in fraud. The second chance pathway is now in 347 universities across North America. Kevin Polk, Michael Polakov, is working as a janitor in a hospital under his third alias, completely unremarkable, completely irrelevant. And I'm at peace. Not because I destroyed him. Because I transcended the need to. The final victory isn't about Kevin's downfall. It's about how I used his betrayal to build something that protects people he never scammed. That's the difference between revenge and justice. Revenge is personal. Justice is systemic. I wanted revenge. But what I needed was justice. And what the world needed was neither of those things. What the world needed was transformation. And that's what I became. These stories delivered the satisfaction of justice served. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to never miss an episode.